Good evening, everybody. Hopefully you are here with us and you can see us and you can hear us. It is, of course, time for Monday night natter on a Thursday. I know that's a bit odd, isn't it? But this week, as I'm sure you know, we have swapped with the lovely Gwen, and Gwen did Monday's show, and I'm here for you this evening. So it's been a really lovely week of sort of just switching things up and that, isn't it? Now, of course, as always, if you do join us and you can see us and you can hear us, please let us know that we're coming through loud and clear, because it's always tricky to know whether it's working or not. It's the joys of technology, isn't it? And also, it's always lovely to actually say hello to you all and check that you're with us this evening. Now, obviously, we have had a very busy week that I'll tell you more about throughout this evening. But before I forget, should we go across to our hostage cam and say good evening to Peter?
Evening all, how are we all doing? Hope we're all okay and had a nice day. Nice and warm today, wasn't it?
It's baking, isn't it?
Was it warm in the warehouse?
It was very warm in the warehouse. I feel like a baked bean. You're very close to the camera today.
Am I?
Have you moved forwards?
Am I close to the camera?
You've come on forwards a lot.
I shimmy a bit.
You don't have to. It's not a problem. You're just very close.
The time we went back to Jamie Cam.
I feel like we've sort of set you up to be really up close today.
I do look like I'm in a box.
You do look like you're in a box. Should we say good evening to a few people? You're not going to get a very professional evening out of us two tonight. I warn you now. We've literally been in the door.
Speak for yourself.
Well, we haven't even yet said hello, have we? Pete's been at work today in one of his stores, and I've been at the warehouse lugging and lifting, so I'm hot, sticky and sweaty and manky, which is the last thing you want to know. But we haven't even really said hello, have we? We've kind of walked in the door, gone our separate ways, kind of got ready very quickly, and both appeared in here with a drink ready. So if we chat as if we haven't seen each other in days, we haven't really. But let's say good evening to a few people.
Kim says she's not sure if she likes me with a bear behind. I'm not sure what you mean, Kim.
I don't think that's something we should discuss.
She's already got two laughing things.
So let's have a little evening. Let's have a little look through. Who have we got this evening? Good evening, Kim. Good evening, Angie. Good evening, Samantha, Sandra, Lynn, Nicola. We have had a busy week. It's been a lovely week, but it's been a busy week. Good evening, Kim. Good evening, Joanna. I'm packing up my suitcase to come home from my Welsh holiday. Oh, well, yeah, at least we can get you company while you're packing. Packing's boring, isn't it? Although we have got it down to a bit of fine art, haven't we? We can clear a hotel room in about 5 minutes now.
We literally can. Yeah.
It's a little bit like we're a burgling squad. We can get out of a hotel before you know it. It's speed packing. I think this is where it comes from. When you don't do it very often, I feel somehow you're like very worried you're going to leave things in different places. But when you go to hotels quite a lot, I think you get used to where you put all your things, don't you? So when it comes to packing, you can do it quite quickly, I think, anyway. Or you just don't kind of mind quite so much. I don't know what it is, but we can certainly do it quite quick.
I think we're them lazy ones that don't actually unpack the full coat.
We don't unpack the full case.
If we need it, we take it out, but otherwise it stays in there till you need it.
So I'm sure they haven't tuned into it. Let's talk about our packing, but yeah, it is true. Good evening, Sheila, Andrew, Joanna. Evening, Lynn. Evening, Sue, Laurie, Pauline, Angela, and Kathleen. It is lovely to have you all with us this evening. Tonight is just a bit of a playtime, really. There's nothing particularly that we're talking about this evening, and that's a really good thing. I love these evenings because it means if you've got any questions or anything that we can answer for you, then just yell and we'll try our best to sort of inspire you and play and make some stuff and see how we get on. But it means that there's no sort of structure, really. We're just kind of here to have a chat and sort of help if we can. So if you have any questions at all, if you want to know, and I never do this right, if you want to know how, I always point to the wrong side. If you want to know how a metallic ink pad works, then, pop it in the comments. Or if you want to know why do you need a re-inker, or maybe you want to know what you can do with a texture paste, or what's so special about these inks, or anything else, then just drop it in the comments and we'll do our best to answer them for you. Because genuinely, this evening is all about just having a chat and seeing what everyone's up to. Now, of course, on Monday, Gwen set you the homework challenge. Now, I haven't been as active as I normally am on the groups this week because, being honest with you, I've been lugging and lifting and tidying and scrubbing. So I haven't seen every card that's been shared so far, but I do know that we've already had quite a lot of hashtag butterfly entries. And if you haven't already joined in, then pop over to the group, which is created with Jamie Rodgers Crafts, and see the little post that's pinned to the top that tells you all about this week's competition and how you can enter. You have all the way through till 5 p.m. on Monday to take part in that competition, and you could win a little goodie bag full of bits and bobs from us. So it's a fun competition and great to have you join in. So if you haven't already, then come along and do so. And if you have joined in, you can enter as many times as you like. So the more you enter, more chances you're going to potentially win. So don't hesitate to enter a few more times over the weekend if you wish to. Now, before I forget, on Monday night, we will of course be back for Monday Night Natter. And this, although playtimes are my favourite, I suppose these are in a different league because of this is Sneaky Peek Monday night. And I love Sneaky Peek because of behind the scenes, we work literally for months developing, testing, working with the DT, getting the samples done, getting everything created. And then Sneaky Peek night is the night where we get to see what you all think of our next collection, our next release, see what you're thinking, see what ideas spark with you. So to me, that's genuinely one of my most enjoyable lives because it's instant feedback to what you think of the collection that's launching. So on Monday, we'll give you the Sneaky Peek, and then the shows will be on Highlight Crafts or liveshopping.vip, and we'll actually be with them on Saturday and Sunday. So it'll be done over the weekend, which is new for us. We've not normally been up to them on a weekend, have we? But it'll be our first weekend with them, and I think it's going to be quite an event. And it's also kind of our birthday celebration, isn't it?
It is indeed.
So there might be quite a few new products to introduce you to, and I'm not going to give you many hints tonight.
He's off already. Look.
I'm not.
He's off already.
This could be your little mission this evening because this isn't planned at all.
Oh no.
How many new products will we introduce them to on Monday? If you individually,
20.
More than 20.
More than 20.
More than 20.
See, I'm rubbish.
Well, not rubbish, but
no, there's probably 30.
I don't know if there's 30. This is why I was trying to give you the task to count. There would be 30.
Over 30.
There would be over 30.
I think a few of you are looking forward to.
I think you're over 40. Not you.
Should we just keep? Well,
I
am over 40.
They really haven't.
Heading towards.
They really haven't. Sorry, guys. But yeah, so over 40 new products we will introduce you to on Monday. I don't even know if we're going to fit them all into an hour, but we are going to have a play and see what we can come up with. Now, I'm getting out my tray and that's a bit premature because I'm not really too sure what we're going to do. Mandy, I see just before we went live, and I haven't even had a chance to accept it yet, but Mandy popped up on my little screen and asked this evening if we could show you some vintage backgrounds. So before we delve into some kits, should we have a bit of a play and make some backgrounds? And this is a really good time, again, if you've got any questions, to pop them in the comments box and we'll try our best to answer them for you. And you might not like what I'm going to do because I genuinely have no idea what I'm going to do. But I thought if it's a question that you're kind of struggling with is where do you start with a vintage background and how do we build it? Should we have a little play and see what we can create and see what we come up with? Now, of course, all of the goodies we're playing with are available for our stockists. So if we have any stockists with us this evening, please drop a link in the comments, sending all of our viewers to you so that they know where to buy the products from. Because as we all know, we don't sell direct at Jamie Rodgers Crafts. We have a dedicated website you can go and look at. You can be inspired by all of the cards that me and the DT have made. You can look through all of the products. You can do all of that. Like, you can see everything, but you can't purchase through it. You will have to go through to one of our stockists. Now, on the Jamie Rodgers Crafts website, there is, of course, the stockist list. So if we don't have a stockist with us this evening, do not fear. You can go and work your way through the list and see which stockists have got the items you're after. But if we do have some stockists with us tonight, it's always lovely if you say hello and drop a little link in the comment box so that we can come and have a little look at what you've got to offer. Shall we have a play? Let's start off with our background, shall we? So we're going to start off with a plain circle. Now, I feel you've already got a question. So
well, there's a few little things popping up.
Go on then.
But Joanna makes a good point, but I don't know.
Come on then.
Does she?
Well, I don't know, because if you're the one that's read it, this is going to be very hard work.
100 because new card is coming?
No, not yet. It is coming. It is, but not in this Sneaky Peek. Now, that doesn't mean, oh, see, I'm not saying another word. I'm not saying another word.
It's imminent now, isn't it?
It is, the card is imminent. But I was going to say other things. I'm not going to say other things. I'm just going to say that...
What other things were you going to say, James?
Stop it, you. Stop it.
Good the camera's not actually on either of us.
It is good. All I'm going to... I think we've teased this already, so I'm going to say it. All I'm going to say is our card might not be launching on Monday or being sneaky peeked on Monday. But it doesn't mean that there might not be some sort of new papery cardy product that might be usable. Because I feel we've given you that tease already. So I'm going to stick with that for now.
But the number is higher actually because there possibly some other items launching.
Well, I thought of them already in my number.
So oh, okay.
But you might have remembered things I haven't. I don't know. I've give this thought. I think you're about 40-ish. 45? But this is your job to add this up. I feel like you're passing this off to me.
In the 50s.
In the 50s. Is that your new number?
It is.
Can we get higher than a 50?
What's
that game that they used to do that?
What?
That reminds me of something.
Play your cards right.
Is
we're going to be back to Debbie McGee in a minute.
We will be back to Debbie McGee. Pete still hasn't got me an evening with Debbie McGee.
Do you want an evening with Debbie McGee?
Well, I want her to come here and do our live, so that's always an evening. So yeah, I do want an evening with Debbie McGee.
Come on, viewers, is anyone here connected to Debbie McGee?
We've asked them.
We
this
will
before.
keep asking.
We only got 3 degrees separated.
Oh, we need to keep asking.
Don't we?
Alison's concerned.
For what?
She said the warehouse looks great, but she can't see any glue yet.
There is no glue in the warehouse yet. There isn't.
Don't
there is no glue in the warehouse. It's a poor show, Alison. It's a very poor show.
But that will soon change.
Tomorrow is our move day. I think I'm allowed to tell you that. I can't see any reason why I can't, but I expect Pete to moan at me. I can't find any blending mats. Could you want to see if you can find me a blending mat somewhere? Don't panic. I'll use one of these. We are in chaos. I can't stress to you enough. Half the room we're currently in has been packed. So we're kind of half out the door and half in the door. So if we seem slightly disorganised this evening, we really are. As well as kind of slightly exhausted. It's all right. I've got hundreds of them open, Pete. I just wanted some open ones. So, okay, what have we done? We've taken a circle, we've stamped over it. We're going to use the vintage newsprint stamp because we are aiming for vintage. This camera's far too high today. Let's see if we can move that a bit. That's better, isn't it? Because if not, you're never going to see what I'm doing. That's better. So we've taken the newsprint stamp and we've stamped it. I've purposely not actually tried to stamp it too crisply. Of course you can stamp it crisply, but we're going for this vintage idea. I'm then going to take, let's go with sun, that might be a bit bright. I might go actually, let's go brushed gold, which is the one I thought I picked up. And we're going to bring in some brushed gold.
This could be linked to Fran's question. She says, a quick tip technique, help please, how to edge card with ink pads. So,
well, this is literally what I'm doing. Rubbish. So all I'm doing here is I'm taking a blending brush. I'm working on the top of a self-adhesive sheet because I couldn't find my blending mat. But of course, a blending mat is a great way to do this as well. And we're just going to blend this around the edges. And we're going to, I don't really know where we're going with this. So I don't really. But you know what? And I was thinking about this in like the 3 minutes I had before we went live, and I see Mandy's question. And I thought, well, to be honest, this is what we do, isn't it? We sit and we play, and it's fine when we demonstrate and we've got a kit and we're trying to go from A to B. And that's great because there's a reason we're doing that. We're trying to show you that process and that we want you to end up with the end result that we wanted to end up with. But actually, when we're sat crafting, making the examples, whether it's me, the DT, yourselves at home, we don't have a plan, do we necessarily? We just start and we see what we like and what we don't like. And if it goes terribly wrong, we recycle it or we leave it to one side for a little while and come back a little while later. And you know what? That really is actually craft, isn't it? So although there's nothing wrong at all with us bringing you a kit and showing you how to make a kit, and if we didn't, we would never get through that much in a show or an hour or whatever that may be. But actually, sometimes to go, well, do you know what? We're going to start from the beginning and we're just going to play and show you how I would go at this. What would I do if I was on my own? I think could actually be quite good fun. So we've taken this lovely brushed gold, we've blended it around the edge, which I think kind of covers Fran's question. If it doesn't, Fran might mean, could we literally take the ink pad directly to the edges? And yeah, you could. So there's a couple of options with that. You could literally pat it against the side here. And if you was going to do this with something like what I'm using, which is a scalloped shape, this is a good idea, because if we take the teeth through, there's a chance we're going to pluck the top of our ink pad, because this is a little bit more jagged and that might pluck the top. If you're not worried about that, it wouldn't particularly worry me, then you could literally brush it all the way around. Or if you prefer, you could be a little bit more heavy-handed and you could bring the ink over the top and blend directly with the ink over the edge if you want to go in slightly further. But it's down to where you want to stop. I'm going to angle my ink, so I'm kind of bringing it in on slight slope so I can work my way around the edges here. Now don't forget, you've got your blending brushes. So if you're watching this and thinking, well, why don't you use the blending brush? Of course you can do this with a blending brush or a blending tool if you prefer. But if Fran is asking, how do we use an ink pad directly, then this is a kind of interesting way to do it, because you're going to end up with a slightly more crisp and neat gold edge. And then like the way I'm going now, we could do that and we could brush that in further, which again could be quite interesting because we will end up with a slightly different edge to it. So let's work our way around this one. So there's a few different options here. And we'll come back to that. We'll use that in a minute. And all this gold on here, which is why I wanted to do that before we moved on. We're going to mist this with some water. And then we're going to take this panel that we're working on and we're just going to start dunking it. Dipping and dunking, which is now making me think of donuts. This is about the third time today I've been thinking about food. Honestly. We don't have a Dunkin' Donuts anywhere near us, do we? We was quite impressed when we went up to see Zoe a little while ago, how Leicester's got them everywhere, haven't they? We were quite impressed by that. Okay, so what we're doing now is just picking up, because we live by the coast, we're kind of a little bit out of it. I don't think Norwich has got one, has it?
Not to my knowledge.
No, not to mine either. So we kind of get a little bit forgotten down here sometimes, don't we? Pizza Hut's kind of our most latest addition, or a Starbucks. Okay, so we've got our lovely gold now. Now, of course, when this sets, that's going to give a bit more gold to this middle part, which is what we wanted. Now, of course, we could force dry that if we want, or we could just leave it as it is to dry naturally. The choice is yours, really, down to what you want to do with it. But because of time is not on our side in that sense, we're going to soldier on with our next stage of our vintage background. So we're going to bring in our heart stencil and we're going to emboss this, he says. If you could find a rubber mat, I've got a rubber mat, that's good. Let's turn the old machine on and find some plates. So we're going to bring in that one and we're going to place this down on top of this. Now this is wet, so that could help because it might push it in further, which helps because then we'll get more of a deboss effect. But it obviously means it's going to be slightly more malleable. So just bear that in mind when it comes out, depending on what you wish to do with it. So we'll send that through and we'll see what we get up to. In the meantime, I'll clean my desk. Do you have any other questions or comments, Peter? Anybody else we need to say good evening to? By anybody? Everybody?
Yes, lots. A lovely Emma Baverstock is watching tonight.
Oh, good evening,
so
Emma.
She's finally managed to catch you.
Oh, how lovely.
Long time no see. Emma, hope you're okay. A few warehouse questions.
Oh, what are the questions? Can we give him any info? What are they?
There's quite a lot. Need to go back. A few people have asked whereabouts it is.
So the new warehouse is located in Great Yarmouth. We haven't revealed the exact address yet because of we haven't. I don't actually know completely why, but we haven't. So we'll stick with we haven't because there must have been a logical reason why we haven't. But it's in Great Yarmouth and it's coming along nicely is all I can tell you, I suppose, really. We have put in lots and lots of racking. Pete's had a very busy week this week building shelving. you see the other day a pallet of shelving arrived, didn't you? We shared a photo of that and kind of construction beginning. And since then, Pete's built, I think it's 50 units.
We had a bit of help, didn't we, from
Yeah.
family?
Absolutely.
I
Pete
think
has
we had
roped
50 in
some help.
total, haven't we, so far? The
But
next
about
pallet
50.
will come soon.
I think I made about 4, 5 of them, maybe.
You made up in other areas.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. With I can't wait to show you what's been going on there in more detail. But at this stage, I can't tell you too much. But we have been working very, very hard. We've got a couple of weeks yet left of chaos. I think I can safely say. But we'll get there. We'll get there. It's been good chaos. One of the things that I think we're good at as a couple or good at as a family is chaos, aren't we? We're good at working and we're good at kind of muddling through and getting stuff done. And we've been really, really lucky. We've had a lot of help from family and friends that's really made so far this stage
Couldn't have done it without them, could we?
easier than it could have been. Okay, so now at this stage, so we've got that nice black. What I'm thinking is I want to bring in something to go over the top of that. And I think I might go back to the gold because we've got this nice gold around the edge. But I think actually I'm going to bring in, so I'm going to use the re-inker for this. I'm going to put this out onto our top again because we should be using a blending mat, but we haven't got a blending mat. So we're going to put it onto here. I don't know where my blending mats have gone. I've got loads of blending mats. We're going to bring in some water. And we're going to dilute that down. And then we're going to find a fan brush, like a splatter brush, and we're going to pick that up and we're going to tap this over the top of that panel.
Mandy did ask, is that the Panther Black ink that you stamped in?
It is, yes. So stamped with the quick dry Panther Black, which is great because it's waterproof. So it means that we can sort of add all of this over the top with no fear that anything's going to go sort of wrong with it. It's not going to bleed or move at all. And then we've embossed it with the heart stencil. I'd like to tell you the name of that, but memory like a sieve here. So Pete will have to look that one up for us. But it's our lovely heart stencil that we've used.
Floating hearts, that one.
Oh, well done, Pete. And then we've used our Squirrel Red from the quick dry ink pad and just rubbed that over the top of it. And where the card's wet, you'll notice we've kind of got this shading going on around them, which is really lovely because it's kind of direct from the pad even. Of course, we could have left the stencil in place and inked through the top of that, but actually I really like that. Now the red might be a bit harsh, and I know it was Mandy who asked about the vintage bit, so you might not want to bring in red. Maybe you want to use a different stencil, maybe you want to go for a different colour if you are going to do that. But actually I really like this red. I think that's a really lovely look to this, so I'd be quite happy with that. Then we added on some of the brushed gold and then just splattered that over the top. Now, if you wanted to take that further, maybe if you wanted to bring in some more colour, you could certainly let this dry. I think this is still going to be a bit wet for this, but we're going to take that out of the way for the second, and we're going to bring in, should we bring in some wax? We won't go with pink actually. Let's go with copper. Let's have a little look at this. I think I've picked my finger that I've cut, but never mind. We'll see what ends up on this. Okay. We'll take off a bit of the excess over here so we haven't got too much to work with. And then we'll just start bringing in some of this copper. And this again might be something that you then want to bring through into the flowers. I'm going a bit romantic with this, aren't I really? We've got a bit of a sort of Valentine's-y feel going on for me. But of course, it is Father's Day this Sunday, isn't it? So possibly something along these lines could be worked into that sort of theme maybe, depending on what else you're going to add to it, or maybe a different stencil. Maybe you could have gone for the cog stencil over the top of this instead. And while we used the red, you could have added blue. There's a lot of options there, isn't there? So all we're doing then is just adding some of that wax over the top. So if we give you a little wiggle here, can you see the wax coming through over the top of the hearts there? It's a little bit of water there. It's fine, we'll take that out of the way. But to me, that's what I would class as a vintagey background. So I would be quite happy with that. Hopefully that's one version that can help. Should we do another one while we're at this? Because there's no reason why we can't. As I say, playtime tonight. So what should we do next? We've got this circle. So we want this one to look different to that one. So let's start off by bringing in the music note, shall we? Now again, on the first one, we didn't overly want that to be a crisp stamped image, but we did still use a stamp press. We did still go into that trying to be relatively crisp. So this time, let's bring in the chameleon green ink, and instead we're going to use our music stamp, and we're just going to use whatever fits under my hand. And we're going to go off to one side slightly, and we're just going to start bringing in around the edges.
A couple of questions. Pam, evening Pam. Pam was
Evening,
asking, what is the stamp called that you've used, please?
So this one was called Vintage Newsprint.
Yep, so newsprint DL, isn't it? It's a
Yep.
DL stamp.
And Pete will find us one in a packet. Set him a little mission so he can see. And now we're going on to the music notes one, Pete, if you'd like to find that one as well for me, please.
Yeah, no worries. Kim was just saying she wanted to know where the warehouse was because is it accessible by public transport? Because she's planning a trip for the open day.
Oh, are you? How lovely. Please let me know when that's going to be. Me and Pete, if that sounded a bit peculiar, me and Pete keep going, do you reckon we could be ready by this date? Do you reckon we could be ready by this date? Do you reckon we could be ready by this date? And this date has moved back and forth about 10 times. But as soon as we've got a firm date, we will let you know. Public transport wise, Yarmouth's quite well connected via rail. You can certainly get to us via rail or by bus. But once you're here, we are on the industrial park area of Yarmouth. So you're not overly going to be able to get to that as easily. So you might at that point need a taxi. I'm going to go out and say, I'm sure there probably are buses to the area, but it's not one that I know too much about, being truthful with you. So I'm going to say...
I think it would still be a 15-minute walk minimum, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Depending on where the bus stop was. We'll have a look at where the bus stops are.
Pete will investigate.
But you'd possibly need a car or taxi to get there, to be honest.
I think you're going to want a taxi.
That's the easiest option.
To be honest with you, to save your hiking. But it'd be lovely to have you come and see us. So now what we're going to do is we're going to bring in our lovely trellis stencil. And we're going to anchor that down on the reverse, just so it doesn't move too much. Not the amount of too much, because we're a bit sort of shabby chicy. And we're going to go back into that squirrel red ink, because I'm thinking Christmas for this. Gold, green, red, to me, we've got Christmas going on. So we're going to go over the top of this with that lovely squirrel red again. Now these inks do dye your stencils. So if that's going to bother you, pick a different ink or a different stencil. It's something that's never particularly bothered me because of my stencils are always kind of being used for chaos, and a bit of ink's never going to get in the way. It won't transfer onto your next project, but it may just give your stencil a bit of a red glow to it, depending on your cleaning methods and how long you leave the ink on it for. I just tell you this because I don't want you to do it and then think, oh, well, you never warned me. So yeah, it can be wise to keep an eye on that if that's going to bother you. Different people are worried about different things, aren't they? Some people clean their stamps, some people don't. I'm not personally somebody who does clean my stamps very often. So again, I'm a bit of a messy person, really, a bit of a messy crafter. But other people tend to be a bit more finicky and rightly so. So it's just down to where you're at with that. I'm tempted. Should we have a little sneak? Can you see in there? I kind of like that already, but I am thinking, and I didn't want to do two that were too similar, but I am thinking I'm going to emboss it because I think that needs a bit of depth, doesn't it? And I feel if we got some depth to this, we could then add more to it. So let's bring that in. I'm going to send that back through on the old plate. So stencil, card on top, rubber mat on top of that, plate on top of that, and let's send that through the machine. Alison asked, when are we starting Christmas crafting? We will be starting our Christmas crafting in July. Very, 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 very early July. But we are potentially a little bit late to the party, I suppose, because I know a lot of people start in June. You'll certainly see different pieces pop up from us. So it's not that we're avoiding Christmas, just how our releases have fell this year. It's going to go just slightly into July before we really sort of go full throttle on Christmas. But I can warn you now, and I will tell you the truth, when we start Christmas, it doesn't stop for a while. We have got a lot of Christmas coming your way this year. If you're on the fence thinking, well, I want to know what Jamie's doing Christmas-wise, there's a lot of Christmas. There's a lot of Christmas. And I think you're going to have a lot of fun this year. We've got a lot of inspiration coming your way. There is a lot of product. And there's going to be a lot that matches up with collections that we've done previously. So we kind of go full circle, which is something, you know us, we really like to do. So I think, yeah, this year Christmas is going to be full on from us. So now what we're going to do is we're going to bring in some of that gold again, and we're going to go around the edges of just a few of these because we want them to have a bit more of a golden finish to them. And we're just picking out odd ones. Now I'm fully aware that this stencil is slightly smaller than the panel, than the circle we're working on. So at this stage, let's remove the stencil and see what we've got going on, because we might choose to add something more in around the edges to hide the fact that the stencil's slightly smaller, which is usually the locations I would stick my flowers or my sentiments or different bits like that, to be honest with you. Now this one again, I like it, but I think we need to add something more to it. Now that could just be that we're looking at a background and we haven't built this up, and it is actually kind of different to our last one, although we did end up back with red, which I was going to avoid, but I think it's because I wanted that red and green effect, which I think works quite nicely. Now I'm trying to see, Pete, can you see a card here anywhere with a poinsettia on it? Or maybe have a look in them tabs, see if you can find one of my cards, not any of the DTs, but one of mine with a poinsettia on it, because if we can find one, I'm going to be very tempted to rip it off and stick it on this, because I think it's going to look really lovely. So see if you can find me one, please. Now over the top of this one, I think we need to do something else for that, because I'd like to see a bit more going on. So I'm tempted to bring in some of our elite misters. Now I'm wondering about Sunbeam Yellow. I don't think I want anything as harsh as Gladiator Red, because that's going to take away the tile that we've made. I certainly don't want to bring navy in. I don't want seashell blue. Pink could make it too subtle. Heritage green would match in too much with the green that we've got there already. So yeah, I think we're going to go for the Sunbeam Yellow. And let's see if we can find a tray to work on, because we're going to go in with this and we're going to potentially just give that a little, and then we're going to just mist over a few areas just so it's got a bit more yellow and goldenness coming in. Again, another word for you that we just invent. But I think this will bring in that gold from the outside and put it in between here. Now, if you don't want to introduce yellow, if we went back to our brushed gold from our re-inkers and put that into some water, we could have misted in gold and then had that same golden effect. But we already splattered with gold over this one, so I kind of wanted something different to go over that one. So we'll place that one off to one side. And should we do another one, or is two sufficient? Do we feel like we've had enough vintageness, or would anybody else like another vintage idea? Because if so, we'll have another go and come up with another one. We can come back to that later if need be. So should we catch up with some comments just before we move on? Because if not, I'll miss them. And Pete, I've got Pete over here rustling. Can you hear him rustling away? I've sent him to look for a stamp, and that's it, it's gone. Is this one you've passed in for me? Can you not find me newsprint? I can't
find your newsprint.
It's all right, don't panic. So our newsprint stamp comes to us in the same format as one of these. This is our sheet music one. The recommended retail price for these stamps, they're DL stamps, so they're approximately, I could give you the actual measurement, couldn't I? I don't think I can, because I think the rule is in the other room.
We're in chaos, aren't we?
We are in chaos. Would you like to get the rule from the other room, Peter?
Rule from the room?
Oh, don't worry, I'll measure it on me trusty old scoreboard. It should be about 4 inches, which it is, and I think it is just over 8, about 8 1/4 by memory. Oh no, 8, so 4 by 8, so proper DL size, 4 by 8. So they're a nice big size, and their recommended retail price is $11.99. What do we do in these currently, Peter? We do a pinstripe line, a snowflake, a couple of flowers, a poinsettia, a music note, a word that says happy birthday.
Floral lines, don't they?
Floral lines, that's a very nice one, floral lines. So yeah, lots of different options in the DL stamps, but that's the one that we were going to look at. So, okay, let's go back and check on these questions, shall we? Because I feel Pete's had his eye off the ball while he's been searching.
Bethan did, hi Bethan, she did ask, earlier. She just bought one of your sprays. Can you have any inspiration how to use it, please? I presume that's the Elite Mister.
Is that one of the Elite Misters? I should imagine it is. So we just used those over the top of that one. So that's a great way to use them. The other bit that we haven't done with them, and there's so many things we could do with these actually. But I'll show you one of my other faves. So let's bring in this stencil because it's already a bit dirty, isn't it? We've already been working with this, and we're going to put it onto our tray, and we'll bring it up. Oh, we'll kind of do another version actually. Come on then, let's do this. Let's bring that in, and we're going to place that down, show you where we're at. So we've put another piece of card underneath our stencil, and we're going to bring in these inks again, or these misters again. So we'll start off with Sunbeam Yellow. I love this colour. I used to have a car this colour many years ago. A Citroen Saxo. I loved that car. I really loved that car. As you can probably tell, because I'm saying many years ago, it was probably...
I know which colour you're looking at.
Do you remember it?
Yeah, everyone has Saxos. My brother had a Saxo as well.
Did he? Oh, I never knew that, yeah. Citroen Saxo. So we've done Sunbeam Yellow and we've done Gladiator Red. I love that combination. We're going to soften this up a bit with some pink, which will just kind of fill in the voids a little bit. Now we've still got 2 blues and a green left to go, but I think we go for more of this sort of sunset bright look, to be honest. And I think we've gone enough around the edges. We actually want what's on the stencil for this, so we're going to go off to these corners and add in some more just to make sure that the stencil's covered, because it was more showing you this bit with it than that bit with it, which probably made no sense. But we're going to take that away, and it's the stencil we want to work with. That's lovely, obviously, very smart. We'll come back to that in a moment, but we'll bring in the stencil, shall we? And I know you've seen this happen a couple of times already, but we're going to bring back in that plate and we're going to place that down. We're going to bring in our circle and we're going to lay that on the top here, and we're going to bring in a piece of paper so that we stay nice and neat, because we don't want to go off over the edges onto our rubber mat. So we'll place some paper down just to protect the edges, and we're going to lay our rubber mat on here, and then we're going to lay our top plate back on the top of this. Now, if you don't have a machine and you don't have a rubber mat, then what we're doing right now could also be done with a brayer. So place the piece of paper on just like we did, take a brayer and rub that over the top, and it will give you the same pressure and the same stamp effect as what we're doing through the machine. The difference is the machine will also deboss or emboss the pattern, or both, depending on what way you look at it. So it gives you more depth to what we're creating. The brayer's not going to push down into the holes because the brayer's hard. So the brayer, although it will take a print from it, it will just rub over the top of it. The mat that we've added to the top of it is going to squish down into it, push it into the apertures, which gives us that deboss effect. So it does give you a different way to look at it. I'm going to bring this in actually because it's nice for you to see this bit as well. This is the piece of paper that we put around the edge. We chose to use a piece of copy paper, but actually, had we have used a piece of card, it's kind of a nice frame there, isn't it? We could have easily then bought out and sort of built up on there with some flowers and some different bits and made something really pretty. And of course, this is embossed as well, but we don't need that, so we're going to pop that off to one side. It's this bit that we wanted, this bit that we're working with. So when we take this away, you can see on the reverse, we've got that beautiful deboss effect, but when we flip it over, we've now got that infilled letterpress stamp look. Now I've got a little bit of transference, probably off my mat already from the last time we printed with a dirty stencil. So I've got a little bit of colour on there, which is kind of annoying in the sense of like, we don't want that there. That would have been quite nice, just left white. But what we're going to do instead then is we're going to give this to Peter so that he can wipe off the ink off there for me, please. Thank you. And we will go to that panel and see what we can do with that instead. Poor Pete just gets these sort of things thrown at him from a distance, misters and cloths and all sorts. So what we're going to do first of all is we're going to bring this in and we're going to stamp over the top of this. Now you wouldn't normally stamp over the top of something you've just embossed because we're going to push down on it, and if we push down on it we might squish the embossing and lose a bit of that detail. But because we're not happy with what we've created already, it's not the end of the world, so we'll see what we can create. Now, colour-wise, I don't want to go back to red, but we did use the red, didn't we? So I think we're going to have to. But shall we change it up a little bit? Shall we go for Sunset Red in our metallic ink? And we're going to go back to that lovely newsprint stamp. And I'm not going to cover all of the stamps. So there's quite big areas here that I've not covered. And we're going to go in and we're going to stamp that down. We should have moved the stamps so it was over here, but never mind. We'll do that in a minute. We'll give that a little bit of a push and see what we've got. So that's quite nice. We like that already. We're now going to do something that very rarely happens in this place. we're going to clean this stamp, because what we want to do next is we're going to bring in another colour of ink. So we've done our first print on here using the sunset red, but we're now going to bring in the black suede, and in the areas we feel we avoided from the last colour, we're going to add black suede instead, and we're going to go and stamp that over the top. Quite like that, I'm happy with that. So we're going to bring that off, I'm going to turn that round, I'm going to place that down, and we are now going to make sure that we move the stamp so that we're in the right place. And we're going to go off to this side. And we're going to do exactly the same again. We will start with the black for speed. We'll bring in some black this time and go over the top of this. Did we have any stockists join us this evening? Have you seen anyone come up?
No, not that I see.
Oh, we can't blame them. How many circles have you made, and could you stick the edges of them to each other to make a box? Absolutely, Fran, you could do, if you wanted to. I can tell you this, I think. I never know what I'm allowed to tell you. I think I can tell you this. I was making a magazine article card the other day. Oh, I'm getting the look from Pete. I feel I can tell you that. I don't think that's a secret. Is that a secret? I don't think that's a secret. So it's got to be like spot on perfect, like really, really perfect. I couldn't bodge it and kind of cover it with a flower. Like, you know, I would say we all do, but I can't talk for all of us. I do. But this, I really wanted it to be perfect. And every time I cut my circle, it didn't come out quite as I wanted it to. So I ended up with about 10 circles. Do you know when you just get into that rut of like not doing what you want it to do? And you want it, and you know in your head how you want it and how perfect you want it to be. And it's just not quite getting there. That was one of their moments for me. So I did persevere and kept persevering and kept persevering. So I ended up with about 8 circles cut. And I thought tonight, well, actually, we'll bring those in and play with them for our background. No reason why not. There's nothing wrong with them. They just weren't quite perfect. And I wanted to be able to cover them slightly. And actually, do you know what? The bit that I kind of kept getting wrong, or the bit that I didn't like about them, you wouldn't tell now because it's all covered up perfectly. So this is kind of one of them moments actually, which is lovely to share because of, you know, sometimes things don't go right, don't they? Sometimes they do go off the boil a little bit and we're not overly happy with where we've got to or what we've done. But don't part with it. Don't think, oh, you know, that's going to go in the bin now or recycling bin or whatever. Keep it to one side because of 9 out of 10 times we can work with it in a different format or in a different style and cover it up. And like the bit that I didn't like, the bit that I kept doing wrong, not the product, it was me, completely me. And I'll tell you the truth, I kept doing it. And then I was like, I know what I'm not doing here. I'm not taping them in place together. And I taped them and then it was fine. But my die weren't lining up properly and I weren't happy with how the cut was happening. And it was all on me, just user error. And when I did it right, it worked fine. And it was one of them moments, a bit like, you know, when you lot probably don't do this. This is probably, again, a me thing. You get a flat pack from a well-known Swedish furniture shop and you build the whole thing and then find there's 5 bits left by your side and think, well, how comes I've still got these 5 bits? And now I'll read the instructions. And funny enough, there they are in sort of raw law instruction 5, 9 and 12. Most people don't do that. I think most people probably follow the rules from the beginning outwards and know what they're doing. But if you don't, then kind of errors might happen. And I think that's kind of one of those things. So hence I ended up with lots of circles, long story short.
Joanna says we need, she's done it in capital letters, a Jamie Rodgers Craft magazine box kit.
Well, Rome wasn't built in a day. I don't know why I'm doing that.
What are you doing?
I was going to blend around the edge, and I don't know why I picked up a piece of black card. We're going to go back to a matte. I kind of wanted to see if the black looked nice under it, but I quite like the black. So we're going to go in with just a black ink pad. This is our quick dry black ink pad again. And we're going to go round the edges because I think actually this could do with darkening down slightly. And it'll also bring out that black that we've got going through in the metallic from the metallic ink pads, is what I'm trying to say. But yes, Joanne, that is something I would absolutely be up for doing. And I would like to think that one day, that is genuinely, if any magazine companies are watching, has always been one of my bucket list. Is that the right thing? Wish list? Things to do. There's a few things on that list, but that is one of them. I'd love to do a box set. So maybe one day. But I will tell you that what I'm working on is kind of cool. So that there is.
Be able to say when it comes out.
Can I?
Maybe.
Oh, you're giving away more than I thought I'd be allowed to, Peter.
Okay. Well, I'll do the spoiler alert coming.
Okay.
If I'm allowed to, I'm not getting the.
Oh, I don't know.
I'm not getting the look.
I'm not looking at you.
But there's a magazine launching in August that will feature our dear Jamie on the front cover. And a certain giveaway.
There is a bit of a giveaway with it. I can't tell what the giveaway is, but there is a bit of a giveaway, and it is kind of lovely. And I think, yeah, it'll be nice. Yeah. I quite like this. What do you guys think? I quite like the black. I think that sort of darkened it down a little bit and give us a bit of a different effect, which I kind of like. So I feel like we've done a lot of these kind of backgrounds now. If you have any questions, then of course yell. That's what this is all about. But if you're happy with this, if you feel that kind of gives you a bit of inspiration of just stamping and misting and playing, then, you know, I'm happy with that if you are. But if you're not and you'd like a bit more inspiration, then just yell, because I am now genuinely just playing around, to be honest with you. And I think actually we're going to lay that back in place. And we're going to bring in some texture paste. So this time we're going to bring in clear texture paste, because I don't really want to cover up anything. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold that down. And this again is one of them times where we should actually tape that and match it up. And I'm not doing that, am I, at all? So we're just going to pretend that we've taped that and matched it up. Because of being clear, it's not quite so vital. But we're going to go over the top of this. And then that way, why we're doing this, the reason or the effect we're going to create is this is going to give us a nice shiny effect to those little diamonds or those little ornate shapes, which is going to be really lovely. Now, I still know that this stencil doesn't quite match, and I don't want it to be too shiny and too crisp. So we're going to load it over the top of this, as you can see. And then I might go, let's go back to these here Elite Misters. And we're going to bring in the rose petal pink, so it's quite light. And we're going to mist that over the top, because that will dilute into that clear texture base and will go quite subtle when it's dry. But before we finish with this, because we're going vintage, we're not going crisp, we're going to bring in the palette knife and we're going to stipple over the top of it, because then what we're going to get is this is going to dry with a texture. But I'm going to leave the stencil in place to begin with while we're doing this, because then that way, as we pick up and put down, we're not going into the grid work.
Oh, Joanna says she needs to order 2 magazines, one to keep, one to get signed when she meets you.
Oh, bless you. That can be done.
Sweet.
That's not a problem. That's not a problem at all. We'll pop that off into some water and we'll have a little look at what we've created.
We will.
We will. The royal we, Peter. The royal we. So can you see where that texture paste is now kind of a bit more textured, which I know sounds really daft, doesn't it? But when we put it through with a palette knife and just scrape it, it's going to sit there quite flat. But if we look down to like this one here, can we see that sort of cracked effect that's going on over the top? So that I'm going to class as our 3rd vintage background. I don't know when I'm going to get a chance to play with these, because we've got an awful lot going on. But at some point, I will put these onto some cards and I will finish them off for you. But hopefully that gives you a bit of a glimpse at what we could do. So what did we use through this? We've kind of used a little bit of everything, haven't we? We've used the quick dry ink pads. We've used the clear texture paste. We've used a little bit of the metallic gilding waxes. We certainly used the Elite Misters, and we used the re-inkers as well. So probably the only thing we didn't really bring in, which is kind of sensible given what it is, but is something along the lines of like our Gemstones texture paste, our lovely glittery ones. But you certainly could bring them in if you wanted to. You could say, well, actually, like this one, should we go back to that? Let's have a little look at this gold one, and we're going to take a small amount of that, and we're just going to go over the top and highlight a bit more. To me, glitter isn't necessarily vintage or doesn't necessarily fit the vintage theme. I don't know why, and I'm not convinced that's a fair or right thing to say, and I think that's definitely a personal choice or thought. I know like Tim Holtz has had glittery products, so there's no reason why you couldn't go down that route if you wanted to, or if that fits for what you're doing. And Christmas, vintage Christmas, yeah, I'm probably being daft, but I don't know why. I don't always think of glitter as being something that's necessarily vintage themed quite so much. But like this is nice, just picking out a few.
A lovely Diane. Evening, Diane.
Evening, Diane. Oh, Diane samples
Stop
arrived,
it. I knew
They're
they did.
Gorgeous.
They did.
Honestly, so far, sorry, I'm cutting you off, aren't I? Sorry, Pete.
You are very rude.
Diane and Ian's samples have arrived so far for ahead of Monday's sneaky peek. And I can tell you all now, they are mind-blowing. The team are doing incredible things for our release that we'll be talking about on Monday. Yeah, honestly, mind-blowing. Sorry, Pete.
But no, she's asking what glue would you use to attach embellishments onto the clear texture paste.
If your clear texture paste is still wet, then you could actually put your embellishment on the top of it, because it is kind of like a gluey medium. So you could potentially sink them into it and you shouldn't find that they will come away, to be honest with you. After that, I would probably go for a glue gun, being honest, because I think that would give you a better finish and more strength, depending on what the embellishment is, obviously, and how big it is. But I think that would probably be where I would go with that. We are kind of looking at other glues that we would like to bring you later down the line, but this is a way away that would give you a bit more strength.
Don't say that without Alison being concerned.
Oh, the original glue would never go anywhere, but we need more than one. And that is something we've got a few that we're trialing at the moment, haven't we?
Yes.
To look at, to
possibly
bring you
one that's going to go
more
through.
of an embellishment-y style glue. So wet glue is something that would potentially be coming down the line from us. But at the moment, my go-to is a glue gun. So what we're doing now is we're going to take this, and I'm sorry, you really haven't tuned in or just watched me play with these 3 panels, have you? But we're just going to use the texture paste and go around the edge of it, because I want to hook out that gold that we placed in there on those few hearts. So just a paintbrush, go around the edges, add on that gold, and then we're going to call that a day at that stage, I think. But I kind of like the gold, and I think it looks nice. We'll stick the paintbrush into some water as well, because of course that texture base is like a glue, so it would dry on the bristles. Now if I lift that up, hopefully you can now see that gold edge go around the side there. Now this is wet, obviously, so we were a bit early with this one, but maybe if we started bringing in some gold flowers, for instance, you probably wouldn't necessarily want to put a dragonfly on this, but they're the only gold elements I've got to one side at the moment. But you could certainly start bringing in and building that up to look kind of lovely with a few gold pieces. You could even use your texture paste, if you've got that, to go over the tops of these, or if you've perhaps got some of those that we've done with the black stays on over the top of them. So gold mirror card brushed over the top with a black stays on, because that's going to dry nicely on there. We could start then building those up around here as well. I'm just digging into my little box here full of goodies that I've already got cut, and we can start to see these coming together, can't we? Does that help? Does that give you a bit of a vintage vibe? Now, I'm not saying they're the embellishments you would top that off with, but it kind of gives you a compositional idea. Maybe some nice gold corners down here, and then I would bring in that red in the mats and layers underneath somewhere to sort of pull that through slightly. With this one, I would be heading for a poinsettia. I feel very much that lovely green in the background, that music, that really needs to have a poinsettia put on top of that and gone off on kind of a Christmas vibe. Now, we haven't yet made anything we're going to give away, have we? So we need to get making something we can give away. But before we even begin, I have a daft question for you tonight, and it kind of fits in with what I was just talking about for Christmas. So there is a loose link. I sat and come up with lots of questions in advance about a month ago, and they're all on a little list. So because we always struggle with our questions. You've probably watched a few of these, and we say, oh, we haven't even come up with a question yet. So I was like, we're going to get around this. We're going to come up with a list of them. And we sat and come up with this list. And now every week I read the list and I think, what were we thinking? Why is that the question for this week? And I've got no idea where this question's come from. but it is an interesting one to know the answer to. So the question to win what we make this evening: when do you start your Christmas shopping? Not your Christmas craft shopping. We know lots of you start that earlier and a lot start in June. This is your actual, I'm going to go and buy Mavis a present. When do you start shopping for Mavis and Aunt Edie and Doris? When do you do that? What's the chuckle about, Peter?
Nothing.
When is it that you start?
Mavis.
Yeah, was she? I never knew that.
Mm.
Oh. But yeah, so when do we start our Christmas shopping? Pop that in the comments and we will make sure that we make something that we can give away this evening, because it's always nice to make sure that we're sending something out, sharing some happiness, sharing some positivity, sharing something that you're going to get in your post and hopefully like, or if not, pop in the recycling bin. So, shall we make some cards quickly? Because if not, you've just tuned in to watch me make 3 very random circles, which really isn't the idea, is it? So should we actually make something properly? So the card we're going to start off with is actually one of my favourites from the Patchwork Collection. Now, the Patchwork Collection, if you haven't already seen it or got it, this has truthfully been flying out the doors more than we ever predicted, hasn't it, Peter? Yeah, it's just definitely disappearing before our very eyes. And equally, not only is that disappearing before our very eyes, it's kind of interesting because of where the Patchwork Collection builds on to several collections we've done previously. I can see how people are going back and dipping in to buy the matching items to now work with their patchwork pieces. So it kind of all goes full circle, which you know is something we're really keen on doing, is making sure that as we design and release products that things kind of fit together and work together well, because that to us is really important. So we're going to work with our lovely stripy lined patchwork panel. Now, I'm going to see if I've got one of these to share with you or to cut. Oh, I've got a couple here already, but we will bring some in to cut because it's always nice for you to see something being cut so you can see that it works. So we're going to bring in our magnetic sheet so that we're working on our machine again. So 3mm plate, magnetic sheet, and then we're going to bring in one of these patchwork dies. What one should we go with this evening? Shall we, let's go with the dotty one. Let me just clear that out. Okay, that's nice and clear. And we'll bring in the dotty frame. Now, we're not going to use the frame to match, but it's nice for you to see them. And we'll bring in the flat edge to go around it. So with each of our patchwork elements, you've probably seen me waffle on about this a lot already, but just in case you've missed them, you can't get 3 different pieces. You get an insert panel, you get the outside to go around the insert panel, and then you get a different frame with each panel. Now, I've gone for the dotty frame. That doesn't come with the dotty background, I don't think, by memory, but it's one of the options that's available for you. The more you collect, the more you can interchange between them. We're going to use the outside edge because if we don't, that's just going to stay in our cardstock. So we're going to bring that in so that we can cut that out. And we're going to pop a piece of card over the top of this. So we've got our frame and we've got our panel, and we're going to send that through so that we get some nice cutouts. Now, Pete's very kindly handed in a couple here so you can see what I mean. So the dotty frame that we're cutting is going to come to you in the fretwork square tile, and the polka dot square is of course the polka dot square, and that one gives you a scalloped, debossed, dotty frame instead. So the more you collect, more options you've got. What's the recommended retail on those, Peter?
Oh, you are testing me now. $9.99.
I thought they were $9.99, but never like to trust my own memory. So $9.99 is going to get you one of those sets with a frame, and your panel and your outside edges is your recommended price. So we'll pop out these pieces just so you can see they've all gone through, and you've now got this beautiful fretwork panel. Now, I don't know if you've been watching these on our group, but a lot of people have been inspired by Ian's creations. Ian did some incredible, like, tall, garagey, sheddy looking panels and then put different pieces on them. I can share that next week when we look at our new collection, that concept comes back in a new twist, and that's, I'm telling you this now because it's nice to see this collection working with the next collection and it all again kind of working in harmony. Now, our frame, if we wanted to, we could layer those up, we could stick several together, we could use these dots that come from the frames and the panels to use as little embellishment dots. We could offset these like Emma did on that amazing video. Did you see that video that Emma did where she put the black and the white ones together and then just sort of missed them and sort of moved them about a bit? So you ended up with a shadow come through. That worked really nicely. So loads of ways in which we can play with those as they are. But what we're going to do is we're going to bring in 2 panels, and we're going to work with a pink one, a white one, and we've cut one in grey as a base. So all 3 elements are going to be used to make up what I like to call a shreddy. So we're going to start off with bringing in some glue.
Nana's knitting again soon,
We are.
aren't we?
Every time I see these, and I don't know why, because it's just a really lovely latticey background, and I love a lattice. I really love a lattice. But it does give me shreddy vibes. I suppose it's because they're square. So we're going to use our clear drying glue. We're going to place it out onto a little blending mat. We're going to bring in a blending tool that we keep one little foam applicator just for the glue. And then as you can see, we use the blending mat all the time for the glue as well, because then it's got a nice covering on it, and it, we just wipe that mat off just for this purpose, and we wipe this blending foam off just for this purpose, so that it's always ready to go. And then we're going to go over the top of that with our glue, and we're going to place that down on top of the grey one, so that we've now got our first set of lines going on. Now this doesn't have to be perfect. If there's a bit of glue come through, not the end of the world. We're then going to take the white one, and we're going to do exactly the same again over the top of the white one. We're going to use the glue on the reverse of it, and we're going to pack that all the way across. And then we can pick this one up, and then what we're going to do is we're going to lay this on top of that one, but going in the opposite direction. And this is something I really like doing, because you now imagine putting some flowers onto this, building that up with some little buds or little flowers. Maybe if you prefer to do like a clean and simple card, you could do it all in white, or different types of white. So, polar white, and then some metallic white, or pearl white, or something you've added the waxes to give it a nice shimmer. And then maybe another tone of like a golden white coming through from underneath, maybe. But even in one shade, you could sort of play around to create that cool effect that you could then build up. You could, of course, just bring in some little pearls and add some little dots on the tops of those if you wanted. I'm not convinced that we couldn't bring in, let's see if I can bring one of those in. You can see how messy I've got, honestly. Such a mess. These little dots, oh, I'm going to have to find some tweezers, and give us a second. This isn't working. This wasn't planned. Here's some tweezers. So these little dots could easily go on the top, like diddlywinks, there, to make a nice little pattern in our lattice. And you could do that out of a different colour. So cut the polka dots from another colour, then place them back on the tops there. I don't think you can see that. Shall I give you a little lift so you can see what I mean? Little dots on the lattice. Kind of a cool look, isn't it? Different idea. Okay, so now we've got our lattices done, or our shreddies created. Should we go on and start making our card? Because I think we're well over time, and I'm waffling for England this evening, aren't I? So let's get this built so you can see something come together. So card-wise size, that made no sense, but card size-wise, 4 inches by 8 1/4. And then we're going to skip down slightly with our first matten layer, and we're going to use our pebble grey cardstock and our rose petal pink. And we're going to place this onto the card flat.
Fran says you could use the panels of flower trellis.
Absolutely.
Or maybe shutters or windows.
Windows would be nice.
Shutters on shutters on windows.
Would you like to explain to the room why you're chuckling, Peter?
No.
Okay.
Just.
Is this a wait till Monday kind of thing?
Pretty much, yes.
Yeah.
I'm going to get myself in trouble, so I'm going to say nothing.
No more. What is it the Americans say? I plead the fifth, is it, when you can't say anything?
Yeah, I do. I plead the fifth. I think that's when you can't quiz me no more. I think
that is. I know in like a lot of the court, in like The Good Wife, they was forever saying, plead the fifth. Sustained. Is that it? We're going to turn it to Judge Judy.
What's the other word? Objection.
Objection. That's what I do a lot. Object to you. No. So, okay, so we're going to bring in our panels and we're going to make up our background. So we're going to start off with the first one at the top there, and then we're going to bring in panel number 3, and I've already got my pearls on these, so I'm going to get them the right way around, hopefully, he says. And we're going to place that one down here. That pearl's just moved slightly, so we can place that back over there. And then we're going to add in our first panel, or our top panel. So with these ones, 1mm foam tape on the reverse of them holding them down. For the one that's going to go in the middle, I've got 2 heights of foam tape each side, so 2mm in theory, and then 1mm on the top there, just so that we don't end up with it bowing. We want it to be level. So we're going to take off our tape from the top of this one, and we're going to place this down. I can place that into there. Oh, I know what I've done. Does it matter? I don't know if it matters. Should it matter? It does matter. It does matter. We're going to go into this and we're going to see if we can get that off. Can we get it off? Oh, I reckon we're going to get it off. Come here. I need my lattice to go in the same way. I've been guided by my foam tape and I'm not happy that that's not going to work. So again, let's give that a little peel and a little tweak and see if we can get that going in the same way. So I'll have to come up with another pearl in a minute, but that's not the end of the world. So we're going to go with that one going down there, because I don't think you're going to see that pearl anyway, because we're going to add lots of flowers in a second. That's better. And then we're going to bring this one in and we're going to put that going down in the same direction. And we're going to add that about there, I think. There we go. Now what I like about this is we're going to go, maybe we should actually, would that be better? Should we go off? We could go that way, couldn't we? We could quite easily take it off in that direction. We're going to stick with where we should be. We're going to go with that. That's what we're copying. That's what we're going to do. But we don't have to, and that's always quite nice. That's what I like about DL cards. You've always got that scope to completely change the outlook just by twisting where the direction or orientation they're in. So in here, I've already taken some foam tape and I've taken the mirrored lavish foliage and the original lavish foliage, which is currently sold out from us at head office as such. Oh, I like that. Don't normally say
have a head office.
Well, we kind of do at the moment, don't we? It's in
do.
chaos, but yeah, we might have to adopt that for the future, Peter.
I like these terms.
But it's sold out with us, and that means that our stockists who have them in stock can't reorder them at the moment. So it doesn't mean that they're out of stock of them, it means we're out of stock of them. So if you've got the lavish foliage on your wish list, check out a stockist quickly before they're sold out and waiting like we are for them to come back into the country. They are en route, but they will still be a couple of weeks from now. We're then going to bring in some flowers, and we are of course using the button blossom flower, which come out with this collection. I started with such conviction.
I tell you aren't sure.
I started with I'd got the button bit, and then it was like downhill from the button bit. But we're going to take the flower and we're going to give it a little squidge round the end of a paintbrush so that we've got a bit of a curve to them. The names are the worst bit, is remembering them, isn't it? There's so many, and then there's the ones that are coming that I'm not allowed to mention. So the whole pressure of don't say the ones that are coming. And then of course the ones that are out that I then forget very quickly because I've got a memory like a sieve. So we're just going to add on a few flowers going around here. How many have we got? We're up to 4, so we'll stick to an even or odd number, sorry. And we're going to bring in a 5th one and place that into there. I'm going to try and get that bit of foam tape off of that bit. And then we're going to go on to our dragonfly. So I've cheated for speed. I knew I was going to be waffling by this stage. And I know that we've covered this on lots of these lives. If you need to see it again, just yell and we'll run through it. But I think you're probably up to scratch on what we're doing. We're going to put a piece of white card and a piece of pebble grey card on top of the die. So die, white card, grey card, send it through the machine. It will cut out the white one perfectly. It will cut into the grey one and it will cut out round the edges, but it won't cut all of the filigree detail on the inside of it. So we can then stick those two together and we've now got grey coming through in all of the apertures of the white one, which I've already done here. And then I've taken another white one and foam padded that onto the top of it. So we've got a little bit of depth and raisedness to our dragonfly. We're then going to bring that in and we're going to place that onto our shreddy.
Emma's evening, Emma, lovely Emma. She says she's got a video coming tomorrow showing another use for the middle square. Die from the Patchwork Collection of die sets.
Do you, Emma?
Said they're very useful. Kathleen was saying how much she's enjoying her videos.
Emma's videos are amazing, aren't they? She works so hard on them and is creating such inspirational content. If you don't know what we're on about, if you haven't seen them yet, you can check them out on the YouTube channel, and you can also scroll down at our page and you will see them. Emma is our latest addition to our DT, and she's shared, I'm going to say maybe 4, 5 videos so far, but they are all on our YouTube and they're all on here as well. And she's been so talented and clever in what she's been doing, because she's showing you really cool tips and ideas right the way from the beginning all the way through. And then there are other ones that I flick through of like the stencil vault, the first stencil vault, showing you all of the different samples, but the different swatches she'd created for those. So yeah, if you haven't checked out Emma's videos, do have a little look at them. They're really inspirational, really, really good. Okay, I would normally say that we should leave these lovely people in peace, because if we are well over our hour, but we have only made one thing we can give away. Shall we make something else quickly?
Yeah, go on then.
Yeah, I feel like we need to at least make a couple of things. Yeah, okay. So we'll send out this card.
Got evenings to be getting on with.
Well, I always feel that. The last thing they need is us rabbiting on all night. If you haven't already, tell us in the comments, when do you start your Christmas shopping? If you're like us, maybe we should confess that, because they might feel slightly better. When do we start our Christmas shopping, Pete?
Can we really confess?
Come on.
What, December the 23rd, maybe? Or
I've known years it's happened on the 27th.
Yeah.
We're not good for Christmas, are we?
No.
I always say this whenever we talk about Christmas. Once every 5 years. Once every 5 years, I can not be bothered. That sounds awful. But I'm excited for Christmas. It's about that ratio. And then we kind of go big on Christmas, don't we? But it is about once every 5 years. Okay, so quick card. And I don't even know if I've brought up the stuff to do this. So we're going to do this one nice and quickly and sort of show you all of the bits that are pre-done. But this is working with our tile collection. And this die I absolutely love.
Sorry, I'm just distracted by lovely Kim Dear. She's just filled in the contact form at Mags Direct asking for a Jamie Rodgers box kit.
Oh, have you?
She's even put the link in your comments. Oh, bless you, Kim.
Okay, what else could we like supercharge you all to be doing? Because I like this idea. What else do we need, Pete? Maybe, okay, well, in fairness, should we give them a few things? We still need Debbie McGee. I don't feel we can like not get Debbie McGee at some point.
We want Deb. Of course we want Debbie McGee.
I think we need Debbie McGee.
Where she began, I can't remember.
I don't mind where she began.
Where the story began, I can't remember.
What that we needed her, because I think I was trying to get a replacement for you.
Oh, okay.
I feel that was where
That's
Debbie
why
McGee
I don't
comes
remember
from.
it.
You've blocked it out. But we still need Debbie McGee. Maybe somebody like Richard Branson.
Oh, aim high, why don't you?
And I'm thinking of funding.
Oh, okay.
Just imagine. We'll tell him, sell Necker Island.
He could be now
and fund the JRC empire.
Yeah.
Think of the things we could do with Richard Branson behind us. We could have a deca-pouched rocket going to space. I don't like
with your name on that.
Rocket going to space, but
a bit flammable.
Don't know. But yeah, okay. But we'll start with a box set. I like the idea of that one. Yeah, power to the people as such. I like this. I feel like I should sing that, so I'm not going to. But yes, I like the idea.
Oh, lovely Francoise has joined us this evening. She says, late again. Honestly, Francoise, don't worry. She says, it's a lovely card you've made. Francoise,
you're joining us at a very odd time. We're trying to get in search of Richard Branson. And who was the other one? Debbie McGee. Did we add a third to that list? I feel like we should do these things in threes.
Angela says, every time Debbie McGee comes on the kitchen ad, I think of you both.
Honestly.
Oh, Angela.
Angela. The problem is if we got her, I think we'd have to keep her. Don't know if we could let her out. I've lost my tape now, Pete. Where have I put my tape? Oh, it's all going wrong. Okay, so what we're going to do first of all is we're going to take our card blank and we're going to use one of our corners. Now, I haven't prepared to do this kit at all. I don't think I have anyway. So we are not going to use the corner that we should be using because that would be too sensible and then you'd see what it was meant to look like. So instead, we are going to use the holly corner. So we're going to use some low tack masking tape. It's never quite low tack enough. No, low tack enough. And we're going to anchor this down in the corner of our card blank. So if we bring this in, so card blank, proper card blank, corner on the corner, funny enough. And we're going to put that in the right place because that don't look right. And we're going to anchor that down so that it's nice and in place. You don't get this with Gwen, do you? Gwen's much more professional than we
more
are.
professional, isn't she?
She is much more professional than we are. So we're going to open this up and we're going to send that through to cut that detail into that corner. And this corner is like lots of our corners, not all of them, but probably about 85% of them that come with separate outside edges. So that you have the corner detail. Please excuse that I've been lazy and not cleaned mine out. But you have the corner detail and then you have the corner outside edge. And this means that you can take just that part, cut it like we are with the holly one, or you can use the outside edge and then you can cut it out as a freestanding corner. But we're going to use them as cut-ins, not cut-outs, and we're going to cut that detail into the corner of our card blank. So we're then going to remove this. I don't think my low-tack tape was low-tack enough even now. We'll give it a whirl. I need to get a better low-tack tape. That's something we need to source, Peter. One I see, it's just not good enough, is it? It's too new. Never mind. It doesn't matter. Okay, we can take that away though. And we have got a bit of a tatty corner, in honesty. But that's my tape's fault, not the dye. And it's my fault, because I knew it was going to happen. But we've now created our cut-in. Now all we would do is repeat that in this corner and then these two as well. Keep sending it through so that it's cut out. Now of course with the holly corner you do receive 4 of those in the pack, so you could line them all up and send that through in one go, and then you would end up with that beautiful detail put into it. The corner we're actually using is the one that comes with this beautiful butterfly die set, which Peter is going to find us so I can show you the set for it and remember the right name. But we've used the corner. And we've cut that in all corners of the card blank. Now, of course, you could equally keep your card blank closed. So when this cuts on the insert of it, it's going to deboss that into the sides here. Now, you might then choose to put a piece of card over the back of it, or you could open that up once you've done one side and cut those in as a filigree detail on this side as well. So you could then have matching inside and outside corners. Now what I love about doing this is, again, we can choose to use this in any direction. So whether we want to go landscape or portrait is up to you. And of course, depending on the dimensions of the card you're working with, we've gone quite rectangular. It's going to leave this lovely opening in the middle to put in an oval. But if you prefer, of course, if you work on a square, you're going to end up with a lovely area in there to put in a circle instead. Now, the card that we're aiming for is actually very nicely coloured, but looking at this, that beautiful white work looks really, really pretty, doesn't it? And part of me is actually thinking at this stage, quite like to make this card just again all in white, because I think that would be really, really lovely. But I haven't got all of the pieces to do that with. That's not the right one.
Sorry, I was trying to make comments.
Oh,
which corners?
He's sharing this.
I feel I've let you down now.
You have. This is why I need me Debbie McGee.
You do.
Again.
That's why I'm sacked.
Debbie
I've never
McGee.
worn it yet, have I?
What tonight? This is first warning territory.
Doing good.
First warning. So this is another lovely butterfly corner, but not the one we're aiming for. We're looking for the one with the big oval in the middle, please.
Oh.
But again, you could do a very similar effect with these corners. These ones again have separate inside and outside edges. So, excuse me, could be cut into the corners just like we're going to be doing with these ones. So that's what I said. We do have quite a few options for different ones to do this with. It doesn't have to be that one in particular, which is what I like. So then we're going to go back to, because we are going to go for a coloured version, we're going to bring this in and we're going to go and find our metallic inks once more. And we're going to find our gold metallic ink, which is our brushed gold. And we're going to bring this in and we're going to take the die cut and we're going to go over the top with the metallic gold ink. Now, of course, you could do this with a blending brush if you prefer, but I actually wanted this to be quite full on. So I'm going to do it with the ink directly over the top. Now, Pete has found us a nice floral version of a similar set, so I'll show you that one as well.
We're very disorganised.
We are disorganised.
Normally it's so perfect.
Normally we're quite swift with this, aren't we? We're quite set up for this. But all of the shelving that we lay, so normally off to one side in the room, and you usually see them behind Peter, but you only see some of them. We have all IKEA racks with little gaps in between them, and then every collection that we release is put into a gap. So when I say to Peter, can you find, he knows the collection, he can go and find them. Well, that's worked fine now for the last, I don't know, 9-10 months, up until I decided that as we're moving to the warehouse, we'd got a van that was going to be going that was quite empty. So why don't we start taking the furniture from the studio? So that's why when we look to Pete, it's all empty behind Peter, because all of that's gone. And it means that all of our nice labelled, laid out product has now just been thrown to one side in chaos, knowing that soon we're going to be moving. Now, I did at that time imagine that the Wi-Fi or the internet would be fitted at the warehouse much quicker than it has been, and that we would be able to start our lives from there pretty quickly. But you know what? Nothing ever happens quickly, does it, anymore? So we've had our Wi-Fi booked for fitting, and it's meant to be being fitted next Tuesday. Next Tuesday. So we'll do our Monday night natter from here next week, where we'll look at the brand new products. And then if it's fitted, if the speed's right, if it all works okay, and if we have chance, we'll move before the next Monday night natter. Which is news to Pete at this moment, I should imagine. I don't think I've actually voiced all this.
Inwardly panicking.
But if we can, I think we should try and move by the next one. But if we can't, it'll be the one after. But it certainly means that we're on the right path. So the die that we're working with is this one. It is the Elegant Butterfly Oval. So this is what I mean about having your four corners, your beautiful oval. The oval itself has a lattice that sits within the middle of it, and it also has one of our tile dies that goes around the outside of it, so that we can cut out that centre if we want to and have that as an opening, or we can cut the lattice into it, or like we are here, we can leave it as a solid. So lots and lots of options with this die set. We're going to carry on with our gold ink, just brushing this around the edges. We're not too worried about the middle because we know that we're going to be covering the middle up. And if you're wondering, well, why didn't we do the card before we cut it, or why didn't we use a gold piece of card? Absolutely, you could do that. But to me, it's more about having that patchy look. I want that shading. I want that distressed vintage look that brushing the ink directly against this is going to achieve for me, because I'm going to get more patchiness from it, which is what I would really like. Now, this card was created way before, and I mean way before, our waxes were developed and we had them. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to see if I can find my gold wax. Have I got it? Oh, I've got a gold wax here. Shall we see if we was to bring in, this is the gold bullion from the wax. Can we add a bit of this into the mix and see what we end up with? How's that going to look? So we'll take some of this off the edges, and then we're just going to take this and we're going to put this over the top, so that we end up with like a double gold shading. And if we do a little bit and see if we like it and see if you can see the difference. So should we do one side? This was meant to be a quick demo, weren't it? Sorry, and here I am off on like complete different tangents, changing up everything we did for the card. But we're gonna carry on. And just apologies if you're in a rush to get back to your evening. Have you had many people tell us when they start their Christmas shopping, Pete, or have they all decided that we're absolutely bonkers? Oh, good.
Well, my comments are playing up again. We're doing,
this isn't
I'm
good
doing my
enough.
best.
Debbie McGee wouldn't have that problem.
No, she'd be
Debbie
waving that
McGee
magic
would
wand,
come with
wouldn't she?
like Uber star Wi-Fi, I reckon. Can you see the difference? I don't know if you can see the difference, but you can hear this one's got a lovely soft yellowy gold, as well as that antique gold, which really actually looks quite lovely. And he's giving me a bit of a thought. I don't know how well you're going to see that at all, but it really does show up. So I'm going to, because it shows up so nicely here, we're going to do the same going around this side as well. And I wasn't planning on using this panel, but because I really like what we've done with it, I think we're going to try and substitute this one in for the finished one, because I think actually layering these golds looks really lovely. And I think, and again, you know, as time isn't an issue, we should add in another gold item, because I really like how that's looking. So if we go back to, where did I put that earlier? We had our gold texture paste, didn't we? Because I know we had it because it's all over my hand. So where did I put it? Let's go back to this and bring that in. And we'll bring a small amount of that out onto our mat. And then we're going to add a bit of sparkle over the top of this as well. Now these were out at the time that we did this one, so I don't know why we didn't do this part last time, but it's all right. Sometimes it's these ideas that come to you. I don't know, again, I don't know if this is something that you'll all agree with, or it might be a me thing, but quite often I'll make a card and I think, yeah, that's all right. You know, I'm never overly like big-headed about things, so it's more like, okay, that'll pass is kind of my go-to. And then you see it a few months later, like this one, which is a few months down the line from when I made it. and I think, well, actually, I'd really like to improve it by doing X, Y, and Z. And that might be that you look back at your photos and think, oh, well, I could have done that better, or I could have done that different. Or it might be that you batch make your card, or you find it in a drawer or on the side, or whatever. But am I alone in this? Do you look back and think, well, I wish I had done, and now if I did it again, I would do? Or is that just a me thing? But bringing in 3 different shades of gold, I think has worked quite nicely to make this panel stand out slightly differently to our original. So now you've got the glitter, the metallic wax, and the gold metallic ink all come into play together on this one. And the way we would put the Gemstones texture paste on, it's not quite dry, but it'll be dry in a few seconds. That's not going to take long to set at all. So from here, we would then bring in a couple of extra panels. So we have got here the central part, using the die set that comes with it to cut out the middle part. And we're going to place that down over there. And then we've got the same matching stamp. So this is our tile set of stamps. So there's 3 different sets of these currently. We are working on some more. There will be more later in the year. But this is our birthday set, I believe, that we've bought in. And we've stamped the birthday using the same gold in the brushed gold metallic ink, and we're going to place that into the middle of that panel. We're then going to bring in the outside edge. So this one comes with its own outside edge, don't forget. I don't know where the die's gone. I think I handed it back to Pete, but it's got its own outside edge of this scalloped oval. Now you could use our other ovals if you wanted a different edge to it. So it could have a postage stamp edge, or it could have a plain edge, or whatever else you want to be using. But this one comes with a fluted edge separate already, and it's a different size to what you're going to get in the nesting dies. So you're not doubling up, you're just adding another option, and it of course fits perfectly with this oval. So what we've done is we've taken that and we've cut that one out of white so that we've got that to coordinate as well. So we're going to bring in some foam tape, and because we're using a different panel to the one that I was planning to use, we're going to cut that down a few strips of this. And for this project, we're just going to anchor it down. There it is. Odd sized actually, but we'll stick it in the middle. And we'll cut this one again. And we'll put a couple of bits over side of here. Now, if I was doing this without you all, if I was doing this sort of for me, I would anchor down a few more bits within the pattern, just so that there's a bit more body holding it down. But this will do. And actually, it's kind of nice because we could even shape it slightly. So we'll take these bits of tape out of the way. And we're going to bring in our oval, and we're going to match up our pattern around the edge so that that's the right design. And that's kind of lovely on its own, isn't it? Now, don't forget with this, you could easily, and this is the panel I was meant to be using, so we'll bring that one in now. If you wanted to, you could fold, not this bit, but that bit, and you could fold that and turn that into an easel. I know several of the DT did that when we released this collection. So if you're looking at this card and thinking, well, actually, I'd like to just work with this part without sticking it onto a card blank, you absolutely could do. But we're going to bring that in, and we're going to place that down on the top there. Now, the shapey bit I was on about, it's kind of just bringing this in and fluffing this up a little, because we haven't anchored it down around the edges. If we wanted to, and it would depend on what you're doing with it, maybe this is where you'd frame it more than put it on a card, but there's certainly room for giving that a little bit of a squidge, a little bit of a shape. Now, the butterflies in this panel, if you're looking at these and thinking I've seen them before, they're our elegant butterflies, and they're the same sizes and dimensions and styles as the loose elegant butterflies. So if you happen to have this set and you want to 3D that butterfly, for instance, you can cut the matching one and layer it on the top there. So you can build that forward with more dimension if you wish. But for my one, we're going to bring in some flowers. And the flower we are choosing to use this evening is, I think it's going to be, what is it?
Cosmos.
Is it the Cosmos flower? I think it's the Cosmos flower. Pete's going to have a little look. I genuinely have got to the point now that flower names confuse the life out of me. We're building up quite the library of flower names, but a lot of them, like this one, have a debossed detail run through the petals. So again, you don't have to do this with an ink pad directly. You can do this with a brayer if you want to get more of a two-tone effect to them. But by just rubbing the ink over the top, we'll get them white indented lines, and we'll get that nice golden halo to them. Now, we added that lovely gold, or 2 golds, didn't we? We added in the waxes and we added in the glitter on the panel. Now I would quite like to do that to these. Now I would not normally do this at this stage. I would have them before I've built them, and I would add it to them in that stage. But as these are already built and time is against us, we will just add some of the matching golds onto the tips of the flowers. So we're going to do one layer with the waxes, and we're going to take that in slightly further so that we still see it, because we're going to add in the glitter in a second. I'm going to work around all 3 of the flowers with this. And we're going to do both. We'll do it properly, because then we're going to bring in the original card and this one, and you can vote if you prefer with the additional gold or with it just in the 1 gold. So 1 gold or 3 golds. What's your opinion? What one do you prefer, 1 or 3? But we'll bring them in a minute and you can have a little look. And you can just vote by number if you like. You can put 1 or 3 if you'd like to join in with my silly question of the evening.
Joanna loves the fluted edges. She said she's patiently, in brackets, not so patiently.
She's going to ask for DL ones, isn't she? She is going to ask.
She's waiting for a DL version.
I know she's waiting for DL ones. I expect soon to get letters through the post. Maybe we could, do you think we could bribe that if somebody got Debbie McGee, that we could release the DL ones? Could we use this as a power? Maybe. Kim. Hold them to ransom.
Oh, Kim, you're on fire tonight.
What's she say?
Do you want to know?
I don't know. Is it going to get you or me in trouble?
I don't know. She says, okay. So I've just messaged the Debbie McGee on Facebook. I suppose she will reply, Kim. But it's worth a try.
But I do like your moxie. I like that. Yeah, okay.
It's going to be Deirdre Barlow all over again. But again, she was being freed.
What's it got to do with Deirdre Barlow?
It was a campaign, wasn't it? So we need to get the Debbie McGee campaign going.
I don't think I could do this job if I had to do it besides Debbie McGee. I think I'd get very, very nervous.
She could come and open the warehouse.
Ah, now that could work.
She could wave a wand. Yeah, come on, Kim. Say
She's
we need.
She's not Tinkerbell.
Magician's assistant, wasn't she?
I don't think that qualifies her to wave a wand. I think there's possibly more to this woman.
I think she's possibly part of the magic circle still.
Is she?
Well, she was Paul Daniels' wife, wasn't she?
I don't know. We need to brush up on this before Kim's got her on our doorstep.
I loved Paul Daniels back in the day.
So what we do now with a stipple brush is we're just dipping into our Heliodor Gemstones texture base and just rubbing that around the tips of our flowers. We're going to give them a little bit of a squidge because they've gone slightly flat in our envelope. And then we're going to do our 3rd one, and I'm sorry because normally you don't have to watch me do all this, but because we've changed up what we're doing from the original, and we're going to give this card away, I want to make sure that it's nice and that it's done properly. So forgive me if you've all fallen asleep as I edge the 3rd flower. Is there any questions this evening before we go? Because once we've stuck this card together, I feel we should leave these lovely
Debbie related or?
No, not Debbie related, life related, and
Joanna's off.
related.
Joanna's off to buy a Debbie McGee cameo or a higher video at some point.
Is she on cameo? We could possibly do that. We could have her as our intro.
Oh,
we could, couldn't we? Counting down.
Stop it.
In 2 minutes, Jamie and Pete will be live. In 3 minutes, Jamie and Pete will be live.
Can you do that?
I don't know. Maybe this is why we need. Who did I have a minute ago? Spaceman, Rocket Man, lots of
Richard
money.
Branson.
This is why we need Richard Branson.
He'd pull the strings.
He could fund the Debbie McGee fund for us. Do you reckon that would work?
I think we'd ask for something else from Richard as well as that. Obviously.
Well, yeah, obviously, but we could start off with could you fund our Debbie McGee intro, outro, evenings with? Could you fund our evenings for Debbie McGee,
made up, wouldn't we?
I don't know. I don't. Maybe we could go on Dragon's Den. We're looking for an investment for an evening with Debbie McGee. I think we've gone off on some daft tangents.
See, Sheila is on it. You could get Debbie McGee to do the grand opening in the warehouse.
We could.
And proper. There's your mission, guys. You need to get it arranged.
Don't know.
Put the pressure on.
I don't know if would you like to visit our warehouse in the industrial sector of Great Yarmouth is on Debbie McGee's bingo card for 2025.
Possibly not. I could bribe her with a donut or something.
Donut?
Obviously not Dunkin'.
I feel hard cash might work better than a
Yeah.
donut. You know.
We'll work on it.
We'll
We can
work
do
on it.
anything, can't we? So.
I don't know, can we? Okay, we'll finish this one off with a ribbon. Just wrapped around. This is going to flatten that down a little bit. I'm going to tuck it under that flower so that we don't lose it. And if we're going to compare, we need to like properly do this, don't we? Normally I don't make you watch me tie ribbons because I'm terrible at it. But I think that's all right. I'm happy with that. That'll do. And then we'll cut these off. We'll go that way for that one and that way for that one. Okay. So what do we prefer? One shade of gold, which is this one here. One colour, one shade. That was just the brushed gold from the ink pads. Ta-da! Or, oh, sorry, card. Or do we prefer the 3 shades of gold? So this one was the ink pad, the wax, in the dining room with the Gemstones texture paste. What do we prefer? And can we see those shades coming through?
I think we need to leave these people to their evenings. I think we both need some sleep.
I think we do need some sleep today, don't we?
3 seems to be the winner, although both are beautiful as the comments are getting.
Oh, that's very kind of you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Hopefully it just gives you an idea, and hopefully it shows you that you can sometimes revisit an idea and plus it a little bit more or change it up or add to it, or whatever concept you want to put that into, but kind of just tinkering things. And I personally prefer the new one, especially the flowers. I like the gold tips to the flowers because on the first one, the original one, I suppose if I'm honest, the flowers kind of get a bit lost, where with the gold on the tips, they kind of stand out a bit more and you can see there's 3 flowers more than just sort of a cluster. So I kind of like that aspect of it. And then the glitter draws me in further to look at that back panel, and that's so lacy and so pretty that as the light hits the glitter on the butterflies, for instance, kind of draws me more into it. So for me, it would be this one if I was at home voting. But as you say, both are nice and both are a concept that we could work on and sort of dress up. But this one, I think the different shades for me pinches it a little bit, just takes it. Okay, do we have a winner that we can send this lovely card out to? And shreddies too?
Shreddies.
Shreddies have the
There will
answer.
be no shreddies included, but
There will be no shreddies included, but we will send you these 2 cards. So have you chose your winner yet, Peter?
Yes, I have. We need a better drum roll kicking in, don't we? What is that?
Is that enough?
Anyway, so yes, congratulations. Thank you all for putting your comments on this evening. Thank you for joining us tonight. Congratulations this week go to... Wait, oh, I didn't realise I was on camera. Sorry, guys.
Told you it's the Eurovision Song Contest.
It is. I won't keep you waiting any longer. Hayley Ralph, congratulations, Hayley. So if you can message us with your address and whether you'd like the cards signed or not, or just send us out. So yeah, congratulations, Hayley.
Congrats, Hayley. As Pete says, send us a message and we'll get them popped in the post to you as soon as we possibly can. We might be a bit quiet the next couple of days. We are in full-on move mode tomorrow, aren't we? And over the weekend as we move everything from the original warehouse out to the new warehouse. So I'll try and keep you up to date with some photos and bits over the next couple of days if I can, if I remember, and if my phone isn't dead, because it seems to die all the time. The phone's got to that stage now that it's like fine till midday and then dead. But yeah, long story. So we'll try and keep you updated over the next couple of days anyway, and show you some behind the scenes sort of sneaky peeks as we move in and settle in and start to make more chaos warehouse wise. This is just the warehouse stage to what we're up to at the moment. So not that we've discussed our plans too much, I suppose. In our world, it's all kind of everywhere, isn't
stages?
Well, there is, isn't there? There's the factory store stage that's got to come, and then the studio stage that's got to come, and you know, there's all kind of working round, starting with the essential bit. All of my rooms, there's our our cutters, all of our crafty bits, our craft room, everything has got to move. Our production facilities, etc., have all got to also move into different parts. But we've got stages that we're working through. And this weekend stage is to move the kind of warehouse part to it, so that the warehouse staff and team will move over the weekend and now start working from there, which is great because they'll have a bit more room and hopefully a lot more organisation when they're picking our orders for our stockists, and of course your TV orders as well, or orders through Highlight and live shopping and bits like that, which will hopefully make life a lot easier for the teams because they work so hard, don't they?
They do, yeah, absolutely.
They work so hard. You know, we come back from a show and they've got literally hundreds of orders to pick through, and they don't moan and they just get on with it. And they've been an incredible asset, an incredible team, and yeah, it's lovely to kind of be upgrading the facilities that they can work from to make it a bit smoother and a bit easier and a bit quicker for them. So yeah, lots coming that way, but we'll tell you about that as it's goes through the next couple of days and we kind of settle in. So okay, we're going to leave you in peace. Thank you all so much for joining us this evening. Sorry if we're kind of a little bit chaotic and not quite with it. I think that's a mixture of exhaustion and general chaos, isn't it? But it's been a lovely evening to be with you all. And
excitement as well.
And yeah, of course, lots of excitement. And we will see you all on Monday. Don't forget, Monday at 7 p.m. we will have loads of inspiration from the DT as we have sneaky peek night and introduce you to our brand new collection, which I'm kind of pleased. I haven't given anything away, really, have we? Did you come up with a number in the end?
Oh, into the 50s.
Into the 50s, you reckon? Yeah. I don't know if that's right. But we'll go with P.
I'd explain 40s
to 50s. I'd be in trouble. 40s to 50s, I reckon, which is definitely the most new products we've ever released. But it's birthday week. So yeah, come and join us. See what's coming up. See all of the dates and times. And hopefully be inspired. And we'll see you then. Thanks a lot for joining us all.
Thank you.
Night from me.
Good night.